Moving on, she escaped the shackles of her highly ranked ISIS husband in Syria and is now bringing up her children in the United States. We are talking about the woman who was known as the first lady of ISIS, Tanya Joa. The 35-year-old London-born British Bengali was radicalized at the age of 17. Joya was forced to go to Syria in the year 2013, but she instead chose to run away with her 4 children to America. She has devoted her life to reprogramming extremists and bringing them back into the society ever since. She shared her story with WION World is One. Take a look.
I'm afraid for my children's lives. I'm afraid that my ex-husband would make them into child soldiers. And so once I escaped, after 3 weeks of being in Syria, I crossed the border back to Turkey and I returned to the US, and I'm currently living in Dallas. Didn't want my children to grow up being like their dad or being like their dad's friends and the way they treat women. And I just wasn't going to have it. And I wanted to see my children to live life and give to life, like help the planet, help people rather than destroy it. See, a lot of the extremist fundamentalist Muslims is that they're so hard bent on believing it's the end of the world, and they've been feeling this way for 1400 years. They keep thinking it's the end of the world, it's the end of the world. So they don't try to save anybody. They don't try to save the environment or it's not their concern. They're like, well, they throw their hands up and like, oh, well, God will take care of it.
Despite being a jihadist in the past, Joya does not consider herself to be an extremist. She takes pride in what she has done after her de-radicalization. Her ex-husband died in 2017 when the Islamic State Caliphate was crumbling. After the ISIS faced a blow, many women and children started to return home, and Joya decided to help them rehabilitate.
Really extremist only because I didn't use violence, and I wasn't a violent extremist person, but I was definitely a fundamentalist. Just using my story alone can show a lot of girls and I know other women who are still in the position, they're still stuck in a marriage that they can't get out. But when they see how I managed to get out, it gives them some hope. And a lot of women, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim, if they're just in an abusive marriage or relationship, there's a lot of things that we can relate to. They can relate to my story in many ways. Made me, like being in America, I wasn't afraid to question my religion. I had the freedom to do that. I didn't have the Muslim community telling me that I'm weak in faith and that I'm not a good Muslim, and just being able to separate myself and think, get out the group mentality and be able to think for myself, it changed my life around. Like a lot of it with extremism, a lot of it has to do with the environment. So if a person's in that environment and they have a group of people all thinking exactly the same way and they're afraid to think it otherwise, once you take that individual out and put them in a different setting, they're going to adjust. They're going to learn to become someone new.